How's it going, my dudes? This is part 2 of the Calibria Net 3 tier list showcasing the chaotic types. If you have not yet checked out part 1 on the lawful Net 3 tier list, you should click on the card at the top of the screen to give it a look-see. But before I begin, what are you doing? Seriously, what are you doing? You enjoy my content, but you're not yet subscribed? Go slap that subscribe button because you know I upload very frequently and I try to provide insight into the game regarding feasible strategies as well as hero spotlights. Okay, quick summary of how the tiering system works, okay, in case you have not watched the first video. Why? Okay, 1 point is awarded to a unit if it strives in any of the following content: Colossus, Leviathan, Guild Wars, and the Arena. The 5th and final point is awarded if the unit excels at its role. Also, please take note that while I am the one giving out the Oscars, it is not without the insight of the general player base where I derive my results. I mean, seriously, a lot of effort was put into coming out with this video. Alright, without further ado, let's move on with the video real quick. Chaotic types, Fire Beetle. Okay, so we start off strong with the hero with the highest base attack stat among the Chaotic Nat 3's. Okay, so like I have mentioned before, crit rate is something that your heroes should always have in their stats from their runes, and not by relying on buffs or leader skills to top itself off. So as such, his Guild War lead is not really very fancy. I think an attack lead or a speed lead is a lot better. So amongst his S3A and S3B, I would say that S3B base skill is great in PvP so long as he does not die. However, as a DPS, he is most likely going to go bye-bye first because he lacks any kind of self-sustain in his kit. As such, you're most likely going with S3A, which makes a lot more sense anyway. Crit damage is really the future, okay? So if you're going to build your characters, eventually your DPS characters are going to be loaded with crit damage. So I really like his S2A over here that has a decent skill damage of 545% with a 3 turns bleed. He has the potential to do a lot of single target damage, but not really exceeding any expectations with it being a single target hit. So all in all, 1 out of 5. Alright, moving on. Mozilla Firefox. Okay, so he has an interesting S2B, Purifying Fire, that strips all buffs and boosts your team energy levels by a massive 35%. Okay, however, it requires the enemy to be at least double boosted by buffs, which most likely relies on the enemy to take their turn first in the arena. Okay, but in terms of like the bosses in PvE, no L10 or C10 boss has double buffs, so it's not going to be useful there. He has a very unique S3A over here that heals all allies by 15% of the damage he deals, which is frankly not a lot. It's really frankly not a lot, but decent enough for PvE runs. However, the rest of his kit just does not bode well for bossing, so he fails to excel in any one place, really. 0 out of 5. Moving on. Orc Warrior. Yeah, Orc Warrior, right? Not Ogre. Yeah, Orc Warrior. Okay. If you have attempted Leviathan 10, you will know how murderous and disgusting he can be. Okay, so he's well equipped with 2 of his skills, S1 and S2A, being defense breaks. Right? Yeah, doing defense breaks here, you can see it reduces the enemy's defense and reduces the enemy's defense here as well. To add, his S3B over here can effectively double as not only a good DPS source, but a strong cleanser as well. So he hits twice. If he crits on both hits, your team is cleared of 2 debuffs. Just like that. And he has a cooldown of 4 turns, which he can execute really quickly if you have a lot of turn cycling. So his kit is excellent for speed running dungeons because of the defense break and because of cleansing, removing negative status effects. As he will not only be able to do good damage in the first 2 waves, right? He will also consistently, like I said, cleanse your team without needing to invest into the Necromancer at all. A very solid pick for Colossus and especially Leviathan, so 3 out of 5. Next, Finfolk Guard. There's a few saying going on around on YouTube that he might be good, but honestly, in my opinion, this is quite a sad hero, right? So let's have some Fs in the chat. He has a decent S3B over here that reduces all enemies' energy levels by 30%. Okay, but this does not come with a slow debuff. As such, he cannot truly scale off his S2A over here on the next turn that he takes, unless you decided to start with his rather garbage S1 to start off the match. Okay, so you use S1, you slow the target down, and then you scale off with this hit. So normally in PvP, you're not going to do that. You're just going to do this first, and then you're like, oh wait, this is not going to be that useful anymore. So you have to go back to S1 and then go to your S2, which is kind of stupid. He may work well with allies that can slow on his behalf, so that he may do some decent damage on his S2A, but frankly, there are many better options out there. So he's otherwise quite a bad hero in general, 0 out of 5. Cheetah. Okay, so quite interesting S3C over here, but I cannot really comment too much on it, except that it has the potential for her to be really great at 1v1 matchups or against a boss. Okay, so her S2A is pretty decent for with a 50% chance to bleed the target after you finish scaling it up, to bleed the target for 2 turns 3 times, and it also has a very short cooldown of 3 turns, so she's quite effective in terms of applying dots. She also runs with a decent attack debuff on her S1, which can be quite useful, especially for Colossus. But while not the best pick, she is usable for both Colossus and Leviathan, so 2 out of 5. Moving on to Goblin Engineer, there is a lot of hype around him. The hype is not there for no reason. Okay, so defense break on S1, 18% of target's max HP in damage for his S2A, and a very useful S3B, okay, not 3A, 3B, that allows him to not only steal the Leviathan's immunity, but grant it on himself, practically keeping him on a permanent immunity. Well, unless you're really that slow unless you're really that fast that you lap the immunity tower, but then that doesn't really matter anymore. He can also steal away the Colossus attack buff for more consistent runs, so that the Colossus do not suddenly punch you with like 1,000,000 damage, right? So his S3A, right? This is the skill that a lot of people favor. It's actually quite useless in my opinion, as he does not need to scale off the attack stat due to his S2A being the main damage source that scales off enemies' max HP, and he should also rely on his own crit rate stats from runes. Okay, you do not want to be able to nuke only if you luck out on the crit rate buff here. You do not want that to happen. Okay, if not, your effectiveness is cut in half. So he's an amazing hero for speedrunning dungeons. This is a fact. 3 out of 5. Very good hero. Moving on, Throw Lancer. You'll be quite surprised with this. Nice efficient bleed on his S1 is really quite good. 70% for a bleed for 2 turns. Okay, a very powerful S2B that not only allows him to be built very tanky, but to dish out a defense ignoring nuke as well. Okay, so if he has 50k HP, this skill immediately does at least 25k HP onto the enemy, and it ignores defense completely. So long as his health is consistently topped off, because it scales according to his sacrificed HP. So if he starts off with 50% HP, he's only going to do 25% of his HP in terms of damage. So depending on your rune capacity and availability of heals, his S3B can further improve his nuking potential by 10% each time. 10% of his own max HP as well. So if you rather play safe, his S3C adds a layer of protection and counter attacks with a bleed as well. He can also be runed with a drain set. Okay, this is very important, guys. He can also be runed with a drain set to restore 35% of his lost HP whenever he throws an S2B. So whenever he throws this, he loses 50% of his current HP, but he restores 35% of the damage of the HP that he lost, because the damage that he did is also the HP that he lost. Alright, because you ignore defense. So whenever he throws an S2B, he's gonna heal a huge chunk back. Very, very effective on him. He is an easy to build hero because he just needs a lot of HP, and he does not require crit rate at all. Yet, he has the potential to do crazy damage, even in the arena. 5 out of 5. Very good hero. Next, the Monk. Well, if you watch Bagel's video, he uses him a lot, but I have a lot of personal opinions regarding the Monk. I mean, if he likes it, more power to him. However, he has a very, very, very situational S2A that is only useful if you can take the killing blow. Alright, you might need to build an entire team revolving around him for it to be really reliable. for him to, when the moment he takes his turn, bam, the enemy is gonna die. You really need to build a team for this to work. Okay, so his S2B is also rather unstable because it hits 7 targets randomly, and frankly not very useful in the dungeons. Okay, in dungeons you want to have consistency. So his only true selling point comes from his passive here, that reduces all damage your allies take by 15%, which is also not at all going to save your life in the end game. Like seriously, 15% is not a deal breaker, alright? 0 out of 5, not very good. Hydra, moving on. Oh, I can already feel the dislikes coming, oh my goodness. A strong S1 that poisons an enemy for 3 turns. Okay, wait. This Hydra, very interesting hero, okay? Do listen in a bit. A strong S1 that poisons an enemy for 3 turns with a 50% chance at max. His S2B is not only very useful in the dungeons for the defense and crit resistance buffs, but take note that it's also very cheap to cap out, okay? Because he only needs 1 skill up and he has a cooldown of 4 turns, that's it. So the devs could have easily made it a 6 turns cooldown buff with 2 tiers to max out this skill, but they chose to make him as accessible as he can be from the get-go. Well, just need 1 skill up at least. And his S3B is actually not that bad, and believe it or not, I do prefer his S3B over his S3A, which is yet another poison deploying skill. So, and this is quite weird, right? I mean, you want to have more skills that do poison, but the thing is, while spit, at max, it's a 35% chance to poison the enemy for 3 turns, but his S1 is a 50% chance to poison the target for 3 turns. So, in essence, when you're up against the boss, this skill is actually less efficient than his S1. This is actually like ruining your runs a little bit because of how poor it hits. So as such, I would actually favor his S3B because it makes your S1 even so much more potent. And to begin with, his S1 is already, oh my goodness, his S1 is already very good. Alright, 3 turns of poison with just a normal attack. So you're actually promoting his S1, which is what I would prefer. 3 out of 5, he's an excellent pick for the dungeons. And finally, the last hero for the video, Jungle Heart. Okay, so there are mainly 2 ways, okay? 2 ways to play Jungle Heart. One is to run his S3B to fit an arena stalling hero. She just sits there and just soaks up all the critical hits, you know, perfect for arena offense against evil heavy comps to like by distracting the enemy. So if they have a lot of single target evil types on their defense lineup, by using her on your team, you're effectively distracting the enemy to attack her, to direct all their fire on her, which is really what her role is supposed to be. Just absorb the hits and gain a shield to prevent even more hits. So this is one way. The other way is to run her with S3A and have your team be very buff focused. Okay, so the moment you drop a buff, you're just going to extend the buff. So you're banking on the fact that you're going to outlast the enemy by having more defensive buff, longer, more immunity, longer shields, or whatever it can be. Okay, but to be honest, she doesn't really have a very useful kit. And her S1 over here is so sad because it doesn't even affect dungeon bosses, because dungeon bosses, Leviathan and Colossus, cannot be reduced in their energy levels. So as such, I would personally highly recommend you to not waste your time on her. I could be wrong, okay? I could be very wrong. There could be a really meta way to play her. Maybe when the new dungeon is released, there could be a very niche role that she fits that makes her excel in it. But as far as current viability goes, there are certainly better options out there. 0 out of 5, don't waste your time. It's not that good. So that concludes the video for Chaotic Nat 3 types. Do let me know in the comments what your feedbacks are, whether you agree or you disagree. Tell me, I want to know, I want to see your point of view. And also, do look out for other people's point of view as well. In my previous video, no one actually debated against me, which is quite surprising. I thought I should receive some debates, especially regarding the rock golem. But since no one, I guess no one disagreed means everyone agrees. I don't know. I don't know how that works. So if you like this video, don't forget to subscribe if you have not, and like the video and share it if your friends want to have another opinion on the Nat 3's, because I know my video is kind of late right now. There's a lot of opinions out there. There's a lot of people following other videos out there, but this is my own opinion, and I'm trying my best to be as descriptive as possible and as unbiased as I can. So with that said, thank you so much for watching this video, and I hope to see you again in the next one.